All right, one moment for me. I mean, there were so many moments from the Super Bowl last night that were just so incredible. They really were. But one post-game moment. And look, we're all magnetically, we gravitate to the guy because he's from here. He's somebody I think that and you take a different sort of stance on this and maybe an appreciation. And when you see somebody grow up, and you kind of claim them as yours. And we've done that here in Pittsburgh with Aaron Donald. He starts at Penn Hills. He's a guy that is in great shape. He gets into weightlifting. He turns into a total monster at his time at Pitt. And now he's 290 pounds. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him, and he will kick your ass. And I'll tell you what, one moment last night is when he pushed Joe Burrow out, and he was like waiting for people to come confront him. You could tell. And they did, and he just locked three guys up. We're like, yes, I pushed your quarterback down. What are you going to do about it?
I will do to you what I did to that man outside that bar.
Right. And before the game, Rodney Harrison was talking about maybe Aaron Donald retiring if they win the football game. Then last night, it happens. Michelle Tafoya catches up with Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald's emotions, I think, caught up with Aaron Donald. This was just after the game, and I thought it was a very special moment.
Obviously emotional. What's the immediate feeling you've got right now?
I'm just so happy. I wanted this so bad. I dreamed this, man. I dreamed this, and it's like, it's surreal. Look at this. Look at this, man. I feel amazing. I feel amazing, man. I feel great.
What did you see on that last play that enabled you to do what you did and make that stop?
Strain. You know, one last play to be world champs. Give it everything you got. I found the way to get to them. We made a play and we won. That's all that matters. So,
you talked about the confetti, the feeling. I know you're going to get a chance to hug that Lombardi trophy that you wanted to hug for so long. How does this measure up to what you thought it might be like, Aaron?
It's the best feeling in the world, man. God is great. God is great. I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say. This is a blessing. This is a blessing.
You had talked about wanting to possibly call it a day and retire after this. What do you think?
I'm in a moment. I'm gonna just enjoy this right now with these guys. When my kids come on the field, this is the promise I made to my daughter when she was 5. So we're gonna play in the confetti for a minute, man. And I'm just gonna live in the moment. So
there it is, Aaron Donald. It was great to see. Great to see Aaron Donald choked up and happy and in the afterglow of everything. But to get to will this guy retire, I think is the conversation at hand right now. 8 seasons, right? And look, he's already there with Joe Greene, with Deacon Jones, with Reggie White. Like, that's his ceiling is the greatest defensive lineman to ever play football. Yeah. And it's attainable, and he's in that conversation as is.
So before we dive into the conversation of do we think he would hang them up this offseason?
Yes.
I think that's maybe the precursor to that question is he already the greatest defensive lineman of all time?
It's tough because you have Reggie White, you have Alan Page, you have Bob Lilly,
right.
You have Joe Greene, you have Randy White, Warren Sapp, people like that that are there. And everybody always has a hard time, Bruce Smith, cross-pollinating eras and what it's like to, could he fit in with Joe Greene and Deacon Jones? Hell yeah. Right. Is he better than them? Is he better than Merlin Olsen? I don't know. What do I know about Gino Marchetti or whatever?
Right.
I don't know that, but I know this. All of those men that I just named, Joe Greene included, you would watch them and go, that guy's not way better than Aaron Donald. He's not.
So the reason I asked the question, right, is because if you can already look at Aaron Donald, most football fans, and say, no, that's the greatest defensive lineman who's ever lived, then if you're Aaron Donald, I think you're much more comfortable in walking away at this point.
I think he's in that conversation. Like when you talk about those guys, Randy White, Bob Lilly, Joe Greene, Merlin Olsen, Alan Page, Bruce Smith, and Reggie White, they don't cast a shadow that Aaron Donald lives in. He's in that group standing arm in arm. after just 8 years.
Yes.
He's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time first-team All-Pro guy, was a Rookie of the Year, 8-time Pro Bowler. The only thing he had left to accomplish, he just did. So, 9 hours ago.
But I guess this is where the next step then comes in, and if he wins another one, and wins another Defensive Player of the Year award, another first ballot unanimous All-Pro, another Super Bowl, and that's stuff that if the Rams keep it together, right? If McVay doesn't wander off for television, if they do keep the band together and everybody comes back in the offseason, they've got a very good chance to do again, I would think. Then that's what's tempting for me. I'm trying to put myself in Aaron Donald's shoes, even though I could never be there.
To go ahead and chase another one. The power in that.
Legacy building.
Okay, here's where I say it might be different than generations gone by. What we know about debilitating injuries, what we know about CTE, what we know now, the disparity in what the athlete makes now comparative to the common man. All those guys that I just read off, there wasn't that wide expanse between what an athlete makes and what Joe down the street makes. And he could walk away today, and he's set for generations.
And quality of life. I mean, he's only 30. Does he want to put his body through another 5, 6, 7 years of the beating? Even another 2 or 3 years.
And I do find it curious, and it's public out there. It's not like I'm keeping some Aaron Donald secrets, because it was on their social media pages, because they're rallying around his daughter. His daughter just switched schools. She just transferred to Shadyside Academy. And that was something that was really interesting to me, that he's making some sort of, I don't want to say life changes, but he's doing some things that are different than AB.
Careful.
Than AD had done in the past.
You can talk pit to the palace. This is
it. Just if you held me down right now, and another thing, he was faced straight up a couple times with the question, and he didn't say, "What are you talking about? Am I going to retire? I'm only 30 years old. Hell no, I'm going to work out and come back next." He had an opportunity to answer the question and tackle it straight on, and he didn't say, he didn't dismiss it.
Right.
If you ask me right now, I could be wrong. Get old takes exposed ready. That's fine, because we're just guessing a 50-50 kind of one side or the other. I do think he retires.
I come back to the idea of legacy building, competitive fire, and I think, how many years does he have left on his contract?
3 or 4.
3?
Yeah.
The idea of playing out that contract and then possibly hanging it up, because this is that first taste for him, right? You could hear almost a sense of relief in his voice in that interview with Michelle Tafoya down on the field. Joy as well, certainly, elation, but there's some relief in there. Because, like you said, it was the one crowning achievement he had left in his career, and maybe that sways you to the side of, well, what else is left for Aaron Donald? 3 Defensive Player of the Years. How many times All-Pro? He got the Super Bowl ring.
Right.
But I look at it as the diametric opposite of that, which is I got the first taste, and now I want more. And another ring or another couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards, it takes him from, hey, he's, like you said, locking arm in arm and walking with the greats like Reggie White and Bruce Smith and Joe Greene and, all the Alan Page, all the names that we mentioned. He goes from walking arm in arm with them to stepping out ahead of all of them.
One thing, and by the way, Fan Morning Show presented by Matt Mertz Plumbing, now part of the Armstrong Comfort Solutions family. One thing that I always find curious in conversations like this, and it happened with Roethlisberger a little bit in terms of will he come back or won't he come back. People say, and they go right to this, he's going to leave $50 million on it. Well, he's made 135 already. Like, I look, and he didn't have anything growing up. Nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we can look at this he's leaving $50 million on the table. Well, okay. That's not as hard to do when you got 135 already in your back pocket.
No, you're absolutely right. Speaking of money, this is an interesting theory, and I just saw this floated a couple minutes ago. Charles Robinson, who covers
the NFL. And I don't think he's trying to play them for more money.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. Charles Robinson, NFL columnist for Yahoo. Aaron Donald's retirement talk feels more like a message about his underpaid contract with the Rams. Aaron Donald is underpaid. He was underpaid coming into the season, underpaid coming into the Super Bowl, and now he's underpaid heading into an offseason where a great many defenders are going to land a great many dollars. It wouldn't be
What's
the worst
he at,
way.
26 or something like that he's going to make? 27, I think. And then it's a de-escalating deal, if I remember correctly. It's like 27, then 22 or 20 or something like that,
6
right?
years, $135 million when he signed it. And, of course, the page isn't going to load, and we're going to sit here and wait for it to come up.
But nonetheless, so Charles Robinson, who's generally pretty good. He works for, what, Yahoo now?
Yeah.
And he has covered everything. So
this year he made, in cash, he made almost $20 million.
Okay. And then,
cap hit was about $14.4. Next year, the cap hit will go up to almost $27 million.
Okay, there you go.
And then it goes down in the last couple of years to $23.5.
It was kind of an apex deal. It went up, and then it comes back down, if I remember correctly. So you really think, and he has done this in the past with camp and different things,
mm-hmm.
But do you think he would pick the Super Bowl stage and just before the game to shake down the L.A. Rams? I don't think he would.
I don't think it's a shakedown. I think I think the problem with painting it in that light, and I'm not saying you're doing it, but that's the verbiage that some people will use if they follow this line of thinking. If you paint it as a quote-unquote shakedown, then it sounds disingenuous. It sounds dirty and underbelly of contract negotiation. It could just be a dude saying to somebody else, listen, I mean, with what I'm getting paid, I'm not leaving that much out there if I don't play the last couple of years of this contract. If I win tonight, I could walk away.
I think sometimes we lose sight, and that's all right. That could be true. Sometimes we lose sight of the wholesomeness of people, and we say, hey, this guy's 30. He's got all his faculties. He's got a couple kids. He loves his wife, all those kind of things. He goes, hey, look, I'm just a dude from Penn Hills. I can't believe I got all this money and I'm still healthy. I'm good, and I'm going to live another 40, 50 years. If I keep playing, every hit that I take, my quality of life might decrease.
Your quality of life, yeah.
I'm getting the hell out, and it's good. I had a great ride. And I think we've seen that with different people around the NFL in the past. And a lot of times there is something deeper. Maybe there is at times just what's on the surface.
Maybe. And I wouldn't blame him an ounce if he decided to walk away.
He already won in
top.
life, right?
Yes. I mean, and he would be going out on top. Like, how many other players have we seen go out on top the way Aaron Donald? I mean, really, you got to go all the way back, I think.
Jason Worlds.
You got to go all the way back to Jim Brown, right? 9-year career. How many championships did they win, even though they weren't NFL championships?
Barry Sanders.
But
team-wise.
Exactly. So Jim Brown was an 8-time All-Pro, 3-time MVP, and went out as on top as anybody has gone out pre-30 years old. And Aaron Donald's 30.
Ben almost didn't have a chance.
Right.
He didn't have a choice almost when he tried to make that Pittsburgh left.
Yes.
I mean, honestly. But there's not been a case study much like him.
I think it's fascinating, though. I don't think he or McVay end up walking away. I do think when you've fought as long and as hard as both of those guys have, especially Donald, I think you look back on it and say, man, I finally got that taste. Now I want more.
It's a great discussion. It really is.